think either today or yesterday, heard that Texas A&M is not going to be playing in their bowl game due to, the amount of COVID cases they've had.
Mm.
For Georgia, their backup quarterback, JT Daniels, for reports were that he is tested positive. There's another rumor that George Pickens, who's one of their star receivers, tested positive yesterday, but negative today. So just a lot of uncertainty with COVID. And the CFP committee also just released their, I guess, rules or operation when it comes to COVID and teams if they're ineligible to play and unable to play. So basically what the team said was, if one team in a semi playoff game is not able to play due to COVID, that team would forfeit the game and their opponent would advance to the national championship. If both of the teams in the playing each other in the semifinal game, so for instance, Alabama, Cincinnati, if both of those teams were unable to play due to COVID, then what would happen is the winner of the other semifinal game would be the national champion. So essentially the semifinal game would be the national championship game. So just kind of a lot going on with COVID. When it comes to sports, we'll kind of leave that there. But and then also too reports that Michigan, I believe from what I saw on Twitter, as a team was going to get the booster shot altogether. So I think for Jim Harbaugh, kind of seeing the tea leaves and just the status of where things are right now, sounds like kind of just really trying to put your ducks in a row and kind of play it better safe than sorry type of deal. So Dre, I'll kick it to you first. What are your thoughts with just what's going on in regards to COVID in this Michigan Georgia game?
Yeah, I mean, like, we're in a very delicate time. We're so close to again, we're about a week away from the game, and now we're seeing a huge spike in COVID cases. It's of course affecting the entire world and society, but you're really seeing it take hold in the sports world, and you're seeing bowl games canceled, and especially in the pro leagues and the NBA, you having players go on safe protocol every 5 minutes. It seems like you're seeing NFL now moving games to Tuesday and stuff like that. So it's running pretty rampant. And I think when it comes to this game, now in the case of point with JT Daniels, and now you could potentially see starters, like Pickens, and that's a huge outcome on the game because I think most of us would agree that these teams aren't. It's not a lopsided matchup at all. I think it's a 9.5 spread, 10-point spread, or something like that. Last time I checked, Mark, I'm not sure if it's changed since then, but for the most part, this is a pretty close matchup. So any drop off in terms of starters is a huge impact, right? I mean, Georgia doesn't have, I don't believe, a huge leeway to lose starters and not feel the impact versus Michigan. And I know Michigan definitely can't do that as well. So, look, as fans, as viewers, none of us want to see this game watered down in no shape or form. And unfortunately, I just don't know what these teams can do besides coming up with some artificial bubble to keep their players from, keep their players safe, in terms of just contracting the virus, right? Vaccinations, no matter what someone thinks about them or not, the whole goal of them are not to prevent people from getting sick, but hopefully to aid the immune system and how somebody progresses through the virus. And it's just, I don't know. It's a lot of I don't know. And I think I'm saying that here at home. The NCAA is saying that, but these pro leagues are saying I don't know. And we're just trying to plug holes on the way there.
Yeah, I guess the point spread right now is 7.5. It hasn't changed much. So 7.5 is where we are based on what I'm looking at, which is a rundown of like the 8 to 10 top sports books in Vegas. So yeah, what we would hate, I think everybody would hate, regardless of who you root for, to think that the game is being influenced by who's not there. It's one thing that, we get to a 14th game in the season, the teams are a little bit nicked up, banged up, you lose players along the way or they're a little bit compromised, but that's football versus something like this happening. And we see JT Daniels, who, shoot, Des and I know from having a conversation with Georgia guys last night, Uncle Lou in particular, that a lot of Georgia fans feel that they're not playing their best quarterback anyway. And now he's not going to be able to play and be a backup option, that they would have to go down to another extremely talented quarterback. Their room's loaded, but with basically no reasonable experience in a playoff game. So, yeah, it's they are interesting times we're in here.
Yeah,
Well,
and I go ahead, Dre.
yeah, and it's also, I feel like Georgia has a bigger sense of urgency because I think they have all the pressure on them, and we could talk about that more later. But I think being up 1-all, overall the entire season, Kirby Smart getting there before back in, what was that, 2018. Like I like they feel like this is really their year and their opportunity, where Michigan's kind of like house money. So, like I think you can start to see pressure start to uh, play a huge role before the game and when the game starts.
Yeah, and I do agree. I think it is. I think there is a lot more pressure on Georgia to win this game, but I mean, from everything I've seen from just Michigan fans, whether it's Twitter or YouTube, is Michigan fans are expecting to win this game, and I think they should. I think Michigan is the better team. Just talking yesterday with the Georgia guys and Uncle Lou, like you don't get here by accident. And I heard Mark on Steve Dace's channel. Um, you don't have any glaring holes for teams in the top four. Like you may have something that you're not great or elite at. And when I look at Michigan, you're hard pressed to find a true weakness. For Georgia, I would look at Stetson Bennett as a true weakness for them because of, I mean, give me a quarterback in the country who's not who's good with a lead, and I'll show you every single quarterback in the country. You know what I mean? Like, so to say
Except for
that,
Adrian
well,
Martinez.
all right, jeez, OP, take shots at the kid. But my
No
thing
lead
is
is safe for
is
him.
is people are just saying, are just, the I guess book on Stetson Bennett is, oh well, if he's got the lead, then he does just fine. And basically what you're saying is, as long as he's not throwing the ball, he's a great quarterback. And that's just not going to cut it, especially against a team like Michigan that does really well against the run. The front four does a phenomenal job of not only getting pressure with passing downs, but also they're really good in the run game as well. So I think that for Michigan, I think the goal is going to be and should be to make Stetson Bennett, beat you, because I just don't think when it comes to playing the better teams on Georgia's schedule, whether it's this year or last year, he's yet to show the ability to do that. And not saying he can't, but if you're asking me to bet on Stetson Bennett, I am absolutely keeping my money in my pocket.